Why is it so important for the movie industry to silence those voices? Israeli historian Giora Goodman says,
And I was surprised again and again to find just how much effort and care and thought had been put in by Israeli government officials, by Israeli IDF officers into bringing over to Israel's cause what is the global entertainment capital.
So, Hollywood matters to Israel because it is influential. But why does Israel matter to Hollywood? It is difficult to ask that question, let alone answer it, without attracting charges of anti-Semitism.
Mr. Cartman, you are on dangerous frickin' ground here, buddy.
I'm sorry, why is it so offensive to say who runs Hollywood? People like Hollywood. Hollywood's cute. The Jews should be honored to be in charge of it.
It is true that widespread anti-Semitism conspiracy theories about Jews running Hollywood exist and fuel a dangerous mentality, but making the whole topic taboo to talk about is not the answer. Israeli historian Giora Goodman and British historian Tony Shaw co-authored a book called Israel and Hollywood. The authors told the University of Southern California that Hollywood bosses such as Barney Balaban in the 1950s, Arthur Krim in the 1960s, and Haim Saban in the 21st century have also sought to use their political influence in the White House and with U.S. decision makers to promote the goals of Israeli diplomacy in war and peace. It is undeniable that Hollywood has a very real influence on U.S.-Israel relations, and that influence is linked to Hollywood's Jewish roots.
For a people so small in number, our impact is staggering.
Dustin Hoffman for Rain Man.
Dozens of Emmy and Golden Globe winners and almost 40% of Oscar-winning directors are members of the tribe.
That is Israel's very own Genesis Prize Foundation. It is a widely known fact that
modern America first saw light on a Hollywood screen. It was largely the product of 6 movie studios established in the 1920s and run for over 30 years by a group of Jewish immigrants. They had strikingly similar backgrounds.
these 5 or 6 Jewish immigrants ended up building all the first major studios that created Hollywood from scratch.
All of these men who founded Hollywood were born within a 500-mile radius of one another. And all of them wound up roughly within 15 miles of one another in Los Angeles.
The influence Hollywood and its movie stars had in the U.S. would soon be utilized to garner support from American Jews and Gentiles alike for the Zionist project.
This kind of moviegoing was religious because it had to do with worship. It had to do with the screen being larger than you were, and you being in awe of what you were looking at.
The Jewish production studio heads organized fundraisers with their movie stars and wealthy influential connections and collected tens of millions of dollars for a massive emigration of Jews to Palestine under the British mandate. One of these men, Barney Balaban, head of Paramount Pictures from the 1930s to the 60s, would even help found the most influential Israeli lobby group in America, AIPAC. But money and political connections were only secondary to their main effort, which was to tell a romanticized story about the creation of Israel. The first feature-length Zionist film made by Hollywood was secretly funded in large part by the controversial Jewish National Fund. JNF, established in 1901, is the financial arm of the Zionist organization. The film did not do well, but the partnership between Israel and Hollywood was not going to fizzle out that easily. They made film after film until they hit the jackpot with the 1960 movie Exodus. Exodus was based on a racist novel by the same name that the Israeli Foreign Minister Golda Meir at the time said was more influential than 60 years of Zionist and Israeli propaganda. As a film, Exodus went even further than the book in totally erasing the Nakba, the massive ethnic cleansing and displacement of 750,000 Palestinians in 1948. The Jewish hero of the story, Ben Canaan, begs the Arabs to stay in their homes and become an equal part of the state, but they refuse and leave. After the 1960s, Hollywood moved on from completely ignoring the Palestinians to portraying Arabs and Muslims as irrational, evil terrorists who often had no real motivation beyond
they hate our freedoms.
Arab enemies were dehumanized, while telling the story of Jewish victims of the Holocaust helped melt American hearts. A 1978 TV miniseries called Holocaust, featuring Meryl Streep, was watched by nearly 100 million Americans. It told the story of the Holocaust in 4 episodes over 9.5 hours and ended with Jewish orphans being smuggled into Palestine illegally. It was not until Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982, when Israel killed thousands of civilians, that tides started turning and public opinion that Israel was the underdog started to change in the US.
In the 1980s, with the first Lebanon War, and then the first Intifada, and the moral doubts about Israel's use of force and the direction of its government. And that is the younger liberals, they are more ambivalent about Israel, while the old generation, such as Kirk Douglas, would support Israel.
According to a 2004 report by the American Jewish Committee, a younger Netanyahu met with Hollywood executives in 2001 and challenged them to do something about Israel's image problem. Netanyahu has long enjoyed close relations with his buddies in Hollywood. One of the most shocking Hollywood stories is that of his pal, producer Arnon Milchan. Milchan is behind massively successful commercial films like Pretty Woman, Fight Club, 12 Years a Slave, Little Woman, and many more. During his time as an Israeli spy and arms dealer, one of Milchan's jobs was to acquire uranium from South Africa for Israel's nuclear program, and in exchange, he ran this massive pro-apartheid campaign in Hollywood on behalf of South Africa. In the end, one of the most important things Hollywood did to rally American support for Israel was to tell the story of the Holocaust and connect it to the establishment of Israel, while completely disregarding and erasing the suffering and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Countless films, TV shows, and fictional characters work to make often white-looking Israeli heroes relatable to white people in the US, and to paint Muslims and Arabs as the violent and savage enemy of the unified, peace-loving Judeo-Christian people. What do you think? Do Hollywood films and celebrities still hold influence over what people think of Israel and
anyone who has disputed what I've been sharing here on this channel regarding the image of the beast, the mark of the beast, and our true place of origin, the place where the Most High set his name, the revelation of its location, its true location. Anyone who has disputed or argued against Isis Ra'el being the image of the beast, they only can answer me when I ask them, how do you know? Can you show me the proof that tells me, that proves to me that that isn't the image of the beast? All they can say is, I know. I know that's where the Most High placed his name. I know that's the Most High's people, the land, the return, all of that. And they can show me no evidence. They just know. And it can be easily proven that the only reason they believe that is because they seen that on the television screen or in the newspapers or the history books that were written by the same people that own the movie companies, Hollywood. In any direction, anywhere you want to look to see if they are the image of the beast, you're going to see, no doubt, that's exactly what they are. Hollywood, we should all know, Hollywood is the wood that the wizards, the witches, and the whoever used to use for their magic wand so they could trick people and put hexes on people. And you just seen it right there in that video, which most of us knew that anyways, but I figured I would show it just for those who who just won't believe this. They won't believe it because they grew up knowing that was the land and the people, and they just can't bring themselves, humble themselves to admit that they've been lied to. And it's not like it was just a simple lie. The enemy went to great lengths and pulled an elaborate hoax over the world. And ultimately, we have to understand that the Most High planned all that. So it's all according to his plan, regardless, either way you look at it. So what the world can't humble themselves to admitting is that the Most High and the enemy, there's no way they could plan any of that. There's no way that they could hide something and lie about something. The enemy could lie to you, deceive you, tear down your boundaries, and convince you that the image of the beast is the return and the land and the people. And everything coming out of them is solid gold. The only way to life is everyone is going to have to humble themselves and admit that they've been lied to. And ever since 2018, at the end of 70 years, you had 70 years from the time of their creation in 1948, you get to 2018, right after the first eclipse. Ever since then, the truth of them has slowly but surely been coming out. You've seen that Molech celebration they had in Soldier Field in Chicago. I played a longer version of that where it shows more detail what actually was going on too. And they don't want to believe that. They won't buy what you're showing them because it's what they've always thought and believed, and they've campaigned on it. So they don't have the humility to even look into this, into the truth. It's just like I can remember my dad when I first had the conversation with him about the moon landing, and I said that was BS. You can clearly see, anyone who really wants to look can clearly see that they didn't land on the moon right then. Whatever else regarding about it, we could debate. But if you watch the video and you think about what was going on, there was no way that was a real footage of them landing on the moon. It was clear to see. Anyone who wants to look at it. And there's so many holes. It's unbelievable how ridiculous it is. But the whole world, just like my dad, he was convinced. They were convinced that happened. And when their only reason for them claiming that it was true that they could come up with was they just know. They watched it. They were there. My dad said, I watched that when it happened on the TV screen. And I said, yeah, that's fine. That don't prove to me or anybody that that was real, though. And I got all kinds of evidence to show you, and you should be able to just watch the video now that I've told you this, and look at it, and you can see that it's a joke. So the only way you're going to come out of the pit of the deep, and that's where the world is, that's where the enemy has the world. They're in the pit of the deep because they are buying what the enemy cooked up for the world using the television screen, all that. I've shown all of it back to the creation of the television screen with Philo Farnsworth. I mean, I've been at this whole deal for a long time now, and I've shown way more evidence than anyone should ever need to see what's really going on. And just you understand, if you can just look at the fact that most of those people, those older people especially, who grew up praising the image of the beast, most of those people, they are, anyone who refuses to even go look at this, that is a clear indicator of their lack of humility and their pride taking priority in their decision making. If they can't even go look at this, that right there should tell you just how elaborate the hoax was and just how powerful it's been. They've made it to where you can't even question them. They got a word that they created just to use anytime you say anything about them, regardless of whether it's true or not. They pull out that word and shut your ass down. I mean, it's taken the whole world into the pit of the deep here in these last times. Well, if you add 2,300 days to the end of the 70 years, you get to right around August of 2024 of this year, which would be what? They're saying that Passover is at the end of April, I believe. Now, I'm not sure. I'm thinking, I need to look more into this, but I'm thinking that the first of the year is on April 8th. The Most High's, according to the Most High's Rolex, not the world's. I think it's around April 8th, the first of the year. So you add 14 days after the first is Passover. That's when you have, when the Feast of Unleavened Bread and Passover and all that starts. But I'm not for sure, but I'm thinking I've heard a few people that I think know, like the schedule, the calendar. I think they've said that Passover is going to be at the end of April. But, usually there's it seems like everyone's having it at all different times, like for that whole month. So I'm not sure, but let's just, for the conversation we're having right now, let's just say it comes at the 28th of April. Passover does. And if you add 45 days to that, because in Daniel he says something about the 1290 days. We can go look at it. And he says, blessed are those who make it to the 1335 days. So if you just say, and that's the last 3.5 years of that 7 years, 2,300 days is like 7 years. And so half of that, the last half would be the 1,290 days. And that's when all this real, like they kicked it on into overdrive with the shot and you see what's going on, all this stuff with Ukraine, everything. And just, you can see what's happening. But if you added 45 days onto that, because he said, we'll go look. Hold on. Right here, Daniel 8. verse 13 says, "Then I heard a certain set apart one speaking, and another set apart one said to that certain one who was speaking, Till when is the vision concerning that which is continual, and the transgression that lays waste, to make both the set apart place and the host to be trampled underfoot? And he said to me, For 2,300 nights, then that which is set apart shall be made right." So if you add 2,300 days from the end of the 70 year, if you add 70 years from 1948, it brings you to 2018. And then you add 2,300 days to that day, you get to around August of this year, of 2024. And in chapter 12, I think it is, it says that there's, blessed is he who is, right here, blessed is he who is waiting earnestly and comes to the 1,335 days. And above it he says, and from the time that which is continual is taken away, and the abomination that lays waste is set up, is 1,290 days. So I'm not sure about the extra 45 days, but that time, the 2,300 days does end in August of this year. So, who knows what's going to happen. We know destruction is going to happen. We read about it everywhere we read, anywhere you want to go in this Bible. And that's the thing. See, the only way anyone's going to live in this time right now, or any time, is the Word. We have to be in the Word, especially at all times, but especially here in this end time. If we're talking about what we're talking about, the Word has to be open. We need to be looking at the Word. And if anyone is refusing to do that just because they know, and they'll say, it's because I know that that's not the image of the beast, and they won't go look at none of this mounting guilty as charged evidence, right there is an indicator to anyone who has eyes that they are full of pride and they lack humility. And you have to have humility, and you have to lack pride if you want to live. It's bottom line. There's no getting around that. So what we have to understand is that's what happened. Look right here in Isaiah 23, the message concerning Sor. Howl, you ships of Tarshish, for it has been destroyed without house, without harbor. From the land of Kittim, it has been revealed to them. To them from over here in America. That's the land of Kittim. Be silent, you inhabitants of the coastland, you merchants of Sidon, who passed over the sea. They filled you. On great waters, the grain of Shihor, the harvest of the river, was her increase, and she was a marketplace for the nations. This isn't literal. This isn't talking about ships with goods, with cargo, with that literal cargo. This is talking about your allegiance, your adoration, your worship, your obedience of that place. Because, look, the waters is the truth. The great waters, the grain of Shihor, the harvest of the river was her increase. That's the image of the beast. I can prove it. Any way you want to slice it and dice it, I'll show you that the concrete facts that that's the image of the beast. And anyone who's disputed it has only come up with, they just know. They have no evidence. They won't even look at the Bible. So you can rule them out as having any clue of what's going on. They, right here, we're reading about those people, because what should go to the real place of our origin, to the Most High, the adoration, the obedience, the reverence, the esteem, the respect, and if you have all that for the Most High, that means the other side gets none, because they can't. He gets it all. He gets all that. and what he made. And we've been hidden from that truth, or that truth has been hidden from our eyes until these end times. So until then, until now, until then, the world gave all of our reverence and esteem and everything poured into that place and what they were telling us on the image, the TV screen. So the world, it was like a river, and the harvest, it went to that place. It was the marketplace for the nations. It's where all the religions come from. That's why it is Babylon, and it's the city of Babylon, that place over there. Be ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea has spoken, the stronghold of the sea, saying, I have not labored, nor brought forth children, neither have I reared young men, brought up maidens. For the longest time, I didn't know what that meant. Now I understand that means that it hasn't produced one child, that place. It's the image of the beast. It hasn't produced anything. Now, what we do now is we come out and we come to our true place of safety, our true dwelling place. Like the report of Mitzrayim, they too are grieved at the report of Sor. Right there, all the people who would have been the harvest for the Most High to being Yasharal and obeying him, following his Torah. All those people who should have been the harvest for the Most High, they fear the report. They are grieved at the report of Sor. Not fear, excuse me. See, all these words are necessary, not fear. Listen, like the report of Egypt, they too are grieved at the report of Sor. This should tell you exactly what's going on, okay? What was the report of Egypt? Moses said, we're going to leave in the morning. Go take this lamb into your house, put the blood on the doorpost, go inside, eat all the lamb, have your staff in hand and your sandals strapped tight with your bags packed. Don't leave none of the lamb. Eat it all, blood and all. And it's the only time you're permitted to do so, the Passover. They went in there and the ravager went over. And in the morning, they left. The report that they grieved, they weren't grieving that they escaped from the ravager, the angel of death. They weren't grieving at that they had to go inside. They grieved at the thought of leaving Egypt, the place of their captivity. They wanted to stay and eat cucumbers and whatever. They had all kinds of excuses why they didn't want to go out into the wilderness to the place of the rest. The people now, this should be clear as day to anyone who wants to hear this. The people nowadays who should have been the harvest for the Most High, but now they're the harvest for the image of the beast. That's the mark of the beast. It's conned you into thinking, to completely forgetting about your true place of origin. And so, just like when you hear the report that you've been hearing from me, from this shofar, you've been seeing the banner on the mountains that I've been raising, it grieves you to think about leaving your home. It grieves you to think that you might have been wrong all these years about the image of the beast, and that it actually might be the image of the beast. If you didn't grieve it, we could open the Bible up and you'd have no problem in let me showing you all my facts and you showing me all your facts. It's easy. So whoever is denying this report, it's because you're not a child of the Most High. He just showed you right there. The stronghold of the sea that you believe is the stronghold, and you grieve at this report of all this evidence, and the fact that you won't even look at the evidence tells us exactly that you're wrong. It tells us you're wrong, because if you weren't, you'd have no problem opening the Word and letting us look at it, but you do. So that means you're not a child of the Most High, that you think you are. You're like that harvest, a false harvest, and even the report of this just troubles you, and you're not wanting to leave your home. And any way you want to look at, just sit and look at what it means not to do this and what it means to do this, and it'll tell you within a matter of seconds what's going on. And you'll see the lack of humility and the overwhelming pride. Pass over to Tarshish, wail, you inhabitants of the coastland. Is this your city of revelry, whose antiquity is from days of old, whose feet carried her far off to sojourn? Now you should understand perfectly why it says at the bottom here, verse 18, and her goods and her harlot fee shall be set apart for Yahuwah, not treasured nor laid up. For her gain is for those who dwell before Yahuwah to eat sufficiently and for a choice covering. The only way you're going to dwell near before Yahuwah is if you're eating sufficiently, if you're seeing that place is the image of the beast. And that allows you to look to find your true place of origin, and then you'll find it. You'll be able to come to your place of origin, to the place he placed his name once again, and that which is continual will be re-intact, and you'll be following the Lamb. That's the only covering now, because this truth has came down now. We didn't see it before, but that was because the time was set. Now that the time has ended, it's time. She's singing the song of a whore. That's what it says. So now we have a choice to make. Do we ride it out with the image of the beast and not even go look to see if what the word is saying, if it's saying that, and die? Because you're not going to be a part of the real harvest, not the false one. And you're going to choose death because of your house or whatever it is that's keeping you from looking at this. Whatever it is that makes you grieve over this report. You're gonna die because of that. That's what you're choosing. And the only way to life is to come and dwell before the Most High. Eat sufficiently off of this. Look at where I've came in the Word since the Most High showed me what the image of the beast is, which is directly involved with what we're talking about. I mean, the image on their flag, the hexagram, that is a part of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And I can prove that any way you want. Any way you need me to prove it to you, I can prove it easily in a matter of seconds. And so once you start realizing that, and you realize you're seeing everything that the Most High has been telling us about the image of the beast and the mark of the beast. So now I've come completely all the way out of that. And I came home, literally. And you should too. And once we do that and we see where we were in the pit of the deep, we're eating sufficiently now. We're just like that song, oh, when the saints go marching in. That's what we're doing. When the saints go marching in. We're marching in. And that's exactly what the Word has told us this whole time. In Psalm 68, it says that the heavens dropped. The Most High made the heavens drop, and the earth shook. I never could figure out the dream that started my hunt for the true place of our origin was that I was on top of a mountain in a little camper, and I could see down into Houston, into the city, like from where we were. And it was like a long way away. And I remember the stars were super close, and even you could see the planets, like I could see Saturn and stuff. Like I never sat and to look to see which planet was which, but I knew they were like right over my head, right behind me. And I never could figure out what that meant. Well, now I know. Now I know what it means in 68 when he says the heavens dropped. He gave me that dream to let me know, because the stars are the messengers. the messengers are the prophets. Not all of them, but the prophets, it says, just like in Revelations, it says a messenger is a man. It can be a man too. So anyone who's bringing the message, duh. So the stars, that's when he says the heavens dropped, that means he brought the truth down. But the truth's been here in our lap the whole time. But how he dropped it was world events, current events, all kinds of stuff. They got us to look at the word this way. Now that we see what the word's actually saying, the heavens have dropped. And guess what? When that happens, the earth shakes. Well, now I know. That's why I had that dream. And whoever made the movie I Pet Goat 2, they knew. They're taught that what I'm telling you is exactly what that cartoon tells you. Like right here, the Messiah, this is the Messiah raising up. He just came down out of the heavens in that movie. You see him coming down out of the heavens and breathing fire. And then the next thing, or like one of the next scenes, it shows the image of the beast. And let me show you that real quick. It shows the image of the beast right here. Now look, I mean, like I said, whoever made this cartoon, they know what was happening. And so if it was left here to help us, I don't know. But it sure has, it's confirmed the word, a lot of the word to me. I mean, the word has confirmed it, excuse me. The word, as I've been reading along in the word, all the word, this cartoon, what it's saying is confirmed. That guy right there in the image, he's in the image in the TV screen. Look, he's blue and white. He's got a triangle on his beard right there. On his chin, there's a triangle aiming down. And look, he's oppressing that child. And that child is named Ludovic, and it means the righteous, like proclaimer, like a proclaimer of righteousness. So that image had him down. Like his whole head fell off, and the image was his brain. That's what we've been reading about just now in this video. That picture right there, it describes what we've been reading about in just a simple image. That's the power of imagery, and the power in the fact that all these words, a lot of these words in the word are code words. They're meant to help us. Otherwise, we're like that picture we were just looking at right here. When it shows the image oppressing the little boy, the image looks up and sees the Messiah up in the air right there, right where we're looking, or that image that we're looking at. And he's rising above all the people that's just programmed into these little cubes. They all got business suits on. They're programmed into what's going on in their life right now. The money, cars, and the clothes, all that stuff. And when he rises up, he destroys them. That is how this is going down. The truth is, the word is judging. And the only people who will survive are those who are excited at the sight of the Messiah coming in on the clouds, the heavens dropping, the truth being made manifest to us now. That's how we live. That's the only way. I showed you in the last couple videos about the Fremont people and the cliff, those dwelling in the clefts of the rock. I just want to let you guys know about this channel, this Desert Drifter guy. I don't know, you might have known him or know of him, but he's out in the desert down in Utah and like New Mexico and all down in there. And he's got tons of videos of him with his drone finding these cliff dwelling houses in the clefts of the rock. And it's amazing. They're way up there. Now, when you start looking at the truth and realizing where's where and who's who, all these things are going to make sense. Like, I never could figure out what it meant by them dwelling in the clefts of the rock. When I look at this, now I know. And to think about, like, these people can't figure out why these people were building their dwellings 800, 600 feet up in the air in the clefts of the rock. Look how high it is. See the man down there? Look. here's the guy right there. And so that's like, I don't know, a couple 100 feet up there to that cliff. So these guys, like that guy, he can't figure out why they were making them up there. Well, that's because they were being hunted. You know, when Nebuchadnezzar came in, he wiped them out. So they probably retreated out there and was living in the clefts of the rock. And other times they did it. So there's so much information out here, anywhere you want to look, to prove to you what's what and where's where. Like right here, look, why live here? Why would they live up there? They lived up there to hide out. They didn't want to be found. So look, yeah, you know, people are, you know, I would say that it's hard to hear for people. They just can't swallow the fact that they've been lied to. They're not even willing to go look at it. So once you realize that is what is going on and is what has happened, you're going to realize that there's nothing else to talk about. We can talk about all matters of the instructions and loving the Most High and His people, all that stuff. Yeah, I want to do all that. But as long as the image of the beast is in full control of the world and no one's talking about that, there's nothing else to talk about. It's the only thing. If you really love your Mishpachah, you really love Yasharal, you'll be on the highest mountain blowing the shofar when it comes to this. There is nothing else to talk about. The proof is everywhere. The only way to live is if you come out of there. If you don't, you will die. And I got all the proof that proves that too. This rapture, all those theories are they're like poison. They're killing people because people are believing that they can stay where they are, do what they do, and Abba's going to just pick them up and take them to paradise. They're dead wrong. Paradise is being revealed to you, and all you have to do is come home to it. The fact that you won't even look into it, to any of this, it should tell anybody what that destination entail. You know, where you're going to end up living that kind of life. You have to inquire. Right here in Isaiah 21, verse 12, the watchman said, morning came and also the night. If you inquire, come again. Now, you'll when you realize all this truth, you're going to realize what that means. He said, inquire twice and come again. That's the Most High talking about the second Exodus, us returning and taking joy in our portion a second time for good this time. And this right here in 21, this is laying out a timeline for you, because he says, he calls me out of Seir, watchman, how much of the night is past? Watchman, how much of the night is past? And it's according to the years of a hired man. So that's a 6-year period that a hired man can be worked, and then he gets the 7th year off, just like you do. So in other places and in Isaiah, he's letting you know that 3 years had passed now, and then the last 3 years, at the end of the 3rd year, it's going to be destruction, and that's what he's talking about, of the world, and by fire. So, and that's what it all, you know, we've been told that the end is going to end with fire. How that looks, I don't know, but I know that if you walk and you come, if you can open the Bible up to see if what I'm saying is true, and if you can look at all this evidence and you can honestly debunk any of it, but you won't be able to. But if you can, If you'd even try and maybe find out to see if any that really there's no time to waste, because everything we've seen has pointed at 2024. Now, whether like that's the year the fire happens, the destruction, I don't know, but that is the year of the return. That's when, like we just read in Daniel, that's when the set apart place is to be made right. And if you just look at all the evidence, you'll see that that's what's happening. That's what I've been talking about. That's what's coming. And you can see the evidence online. You're seeing more and more people realize this. You're seeing Isis Rael sing the songs of a whore loudly, so she'll be remembered. You see all that, people waking up to who that place is, and that means that there's going to be people looking in, waking up to where our home is. And when they're seeing it, and then they're reading the word and they're seeing everywhere that that's what we're supposed to do, that's what we do, is come home, they're going to come home. And it won't be long when they realize what the word's telling them, that they must be there, and they realize where it's at, they're going to start coming here. How many? I don't know. But that walk, to do everything I just explained, and to get here, that is a refining, because it's not just about walking. Look at your faith. You're believing and you're obeying. So there's nothing, that's what we have to do. Obedience and faith will lead you to Yerushalayim, the true Yerushalayim. If you tremble at the Most High's word, and you fear him, and you really are who you say you are, you will be at Yerushalayim come the times of the appointment, the appointed times. That's bottom line. End of discussion. So it won't take long now that truth has come on out. And if there's anything that you ever needed to share or like or take further, go in and look into further, it's this video right here, what you just heard, and everything I've been showing. And there's probably people out there who can make a lot better videos than I can, that needs to be looking into this truth and sharing this truth, swinging from the firmament, from the chandeliers, proclaiming this good news. I hope you do.